For quite some time now, the world of tennis has been looking for a successor to the Big Three. Yes, there have been some incredibly talented players. None of them are nearly as extraordinary as Federer, Nadal, or Djokovic. But now, a new contender has emerged. And in today's video, we're going to talk about how Spanish teenager Carlos Alcaraz is on top of the tennis world after winning the US Open. Let's dive in. First off, Alcaraz wins the US Open. Folks, if you were even slightly worried about the state of the sport right now, just go back and watch the highlights of Alcaraz's games this tournament. Game after game, he has gone against some absolutely terrific opponents, and somehow, he has always come out on top. His shot making is dazzling. His mentality is fantastic, and he just doesn't give up, ever. It doesn't matter if his back's against the wall, he'll find a way back and manage to win against all odds. Also, don't forget that he's literally 19 years old. If he's this good already, imagine the things he'll do when he's 25. Honestly, we cannot wait. And now, in just his second appearance at the Flushing Meadows, he's won the US Open, and we couldn't be happier for him. If there's anyone who deserves this victory, it's him. Next up, the age of Alcaraz is here. In the final match of the final slam of the season, Alcaraz defeated the Norwegian Casper Ruud in 4 sets, 6-4, 2-6, 7-6, 6-4. As Alcaraz sent down a thundering serve to clinch the match, he fell to the court as he couldn't believe what he had just done. The crowd rose up to celebrate their new champion, and everyone could sense that this was a huge moment. Todd Woodbridge of Nine's Wide World of Sports exclaimed, "He's done it! It's officially the age of Alcaraz, a US Open champion and the #1 in the world." Yes, folks, with that incredible victory, the Spanish teenage superstar rose to the top of the ATP rankings as well. It's important to remember that when the year started, he was ranked number 32. From the very beginning of the match, Alcaraz looked like he was in control. Even when he was walking out, he happily greeted fans who were leaning over a railing on the path leading to the court. As soon as the coin toss happened, he sprinted to the baseline for the warm-up, but he soon had to come back to the net for the customary pre-match photos. It was clear that he was here on a mission, and he was not going to let anyone take that away from him. Coming up, the match was a fitting end to the season. Both young stars were welcomed by the crowd, but it was very obvious that the fans had a very clear favorite. They wanted Alcaraz to go all the way and become the youngest #1 in tennis history. In the opening moments of the game, both of them were nervous and made a few mistakes. Break points were created on both sides, and it was pretty obvious that the match was going to feature some incredible retrieving from two of the fastest athletes on tour. Alcaraz broke for 2-1 when his deep return was just too much for Casper. While the Spaniard can sometimes get tight and hand back leads, he was still good enough to hold on to the advantage to claim the first set, and this would become the 65th consecutive match on tour in which he had won at least one set. In the second set, though, Alcaraz lost a bit of consistency, and at 2-3, he was broken by Ruud as he scampered in to hit a fantastic backhand lob. He was broken again to lose the set with the Norwegian's roll, and it seemed as though the teenage sensation was in a bit of trouble. After all, he was coming off the back of 2 insane 5-setters. Fans started to wonder if he was just not at his best. Maybe this wasn't his day. Plus, Casper was doing really well on the corners. Next, things swung back in Alcaraz's direction in the third set. As the third set started, a series of backhand errors from Ruud would allow Alcaraz to stem the flow with a break of serve. At this point, if the teenager had taken another opportunity in the third game, this set would have been pretty straightforward. But unfortunately, he allowed Ruud to level when he dumped a backhand in the net. Again, some of his plays were suggesting that the previous exhausting 5-setters were finally catching up to him. His drop shots weren't nearly as deft as they usually are, and even his feet were less electric. At 6-4, Ruud had 2 set points at 6-5, one of which was saved via a fantastic stretch volley. The crowd was roaring and cheering on the quick-fire net exchanges, and it looked like the tiebreak was going to be really close. But that wasn't the case at all. The Norwegian could sense that the match was there for the taking, and he kind of choked. His ground stroking was uncharacteristically poor. Twice, he messed up the backhand from 1-0 up, and then a series of errors saw Alcaraz claim the next 7 points. And in the final set, the 19-year-old never looked like he was in any sort of trouble at all. One break was all it took, and he became the youngest Grand Slam champion since Rafael Nadal in 2005. As for Ruud, this is the second time he's lost in the final, with the first disappointment coming up against Rafa in the French Open earlier this year. Now, what did he have to say about his historic victory? In the post-match interview, Alcaraz expressed that this is something that he had dreamed of ever since he was a kid. Someone should remind him that he's still a kid. He said that this is something he has worked really hard for, and that it was kind of tough to talk about because he was feeling a lot of emotions. Again, it's really important to note that his journey to the final wasn't easy at all. He had to get through 3 consecutive 5-setters in the 3 rounds leading up to the final. For context, no one had gone through a route this demanding on the way to the title at the Grand Slam in 30 years. In the 4th round, he went 5 sets against former US Open champion Marin Cilic. That game ended at 2:23 a.m. In the quarters, he was a part of one of the most thrilling matches in US Open history when he went toe-to-toe with Jannik Sinner for 5 hours and 15 minutes. Even his semi-final clash against the American star Frances Tiafoe lasted for over 4 hours, and he had to really stretch himself to get the victory. Alcaraz expressed that you have to give everything on the court, and that there was absolutely no time to be tired. Remember folks, victories like this are not possible if you're just talented. To win a Grand Slam in this fashion, he must have had to work harder than ever behind the scenes. And the fact that he's showing this kind of commitment to the sport when he's so young is really insane. Coming up, Casper was looking on the positive side. The runner-up had a lot to be proud of as well, as this fortnight, he has once again proven that he's one of the best players on tour. He expressed that today was a special evening because both of them knew what they were playing for, and he said that it's really fitting that the 2 finalists will be number 1 and 2. Finally, he added that while he's disappointed he's not number 1, number 2 isn't too bad either, and that's a really good way of looking at it. He has his entire career in front of him, and if he learns from his mistakes, he's definitely going to come back even stronger. Finally, the world of tennis reacts to Alcaraz's historic victory. After Alcaraz won the final, both fans and fellow players started praising and appreciating him. His compatriot and idol, Rafa Nadal, took to Twitter to congratulate the teenager on his first Grand Slam and number 1, and said that this was the culmination of his great first season. He added that he's sure there will be many more. Billie Jean posted a picture with Carlos and reminded everyone that he was the youngest US Open champion since the one and only Pete Sampras. Tracy Austin expressed that his power, foot speed, mentality, and physicality are incredible, and that this is just the beginning. Fans were also in awe of the teenager, and there was a lot of praise for him on all corners of social media. One Twitter user said that she had been watching tennis for almost 4 decades, and she can tell that he's one of the most talented players to ever step on the court. Another fan claimed that Alcaraz was the only player on tour who can beat Novak Djokovic. He added that he's very excited to see the two face each other at the Australian Open. That's a wrap for this video. What are your thoughts on Carlos Alcaraz's incredible victory? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Goodbye for now, and see you in the next one.